There we go. Okay. Are you guys ready? All right. And then Jacob, your first speaker.
Yeah. All right. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Then it's 5 minutes.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Are you muted on Discord?
Ooh, my bad.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Are my opponents ready? Okay, then I will begin now. Since the beginning of time, religion has played a vital role in the development of mankind. It has provided us with a sense of morality and enforces those values on our decisions. It has given us faith and confidence in our actions and has motivated us to keep going in life when we have reached our lowest. It has influenced us to help others when we have the resources to do so. Religion has united many of us under the same beliefs, and with the amalgamation of so many people, it has inspired vast cultural achievements. The time a single round of debate accommodates is simply insufficient to illustrate the innumerable benefits rewarded by the existence of religion in societies. And that is why my partner and I affirm the following resolution. On balance, societies benefit from religious belief and practice. We will provide definitions upon appropriate request. Okay, so for my first contention, religion calibrates an individual's decisions conforming with their moral compass. Many people argue that religion does not kindle moral values within people. And while this is true in some instances, that doesn't necessarily denote that religion is useless. Regarding the moral compass aspect of religion, I'd like to clarify that when religion isn't providing righteous values to an individual, it can still be useful in guiding decisions when people drift away from their moral compass. In other words, there are some people that may have a moral compass regardless of their spirituality, but religion is what encourages them to abide by those guidelines. It benefits people by illustrating the specific instances in which a person deviates from their moral compass and urges them to return to the path of righteousness. Now, as I've said, it is believed that people are born with a sense of morality regardless of their religious affiliations. But morality doesn't directly lead to good decisions. In addition to potentially expanding one's list of moral values, religion also acts as an enforcer of those values. According to a journalist organization known simply as The Conversation, religion introduced beliefs about all-knowing, all-powerful gods who punish moral transgressions. As human societies grew larger, so did the occurrence of such beliefs. And in the absence of efficient, secure institutions, the fear of God is crucial for establishing and maintaining social order. As you can see, with the fear of committing a moral action due to the possibility of being punished by their God, people abided by the guidelines set by their religion, and this has in the past maintained social order significantly well, and is capable of continuing to do so. And yes, the modern world holds more efficient ways to enforce laws and punish aggressors, but religion still acts as an addition to reducing inhumane actions regardless. Moving on to my second contention, religion incentivizes benevolence. The majority of religions contain scripture that coerce generous and charitable deeds. A 2014 study performed by the Pew Research Center observed that of all Americans who attend church weekly, 45% of them did volunteer work sometime in the past 7 days. The category of simply other Americans, which refers to less devoted believers or non-believers, displays a result of only 27% doing such work. By comparison, religious followers highly devoted to their religion sacrifice more of their time to volunteer work than that of either ordinary believers or non-believers. A believer and non-believer may have the same ethical values, but religion encourages their followers to take the initiative and do more than simply avoid bad. Additionally, data from the philanthropy panel study run by the University of Indiana's Lilly Family School of Philanthropy indicate that on average, 62% of religious households give to charity, while only 46% of non-religious households do the same. Furthermore, religious households donated about $1,590 to charity annually, while non-religious households contributed only $695. I'm not saying we don't need the charity work of non-believers because of how insignificant it seems in comparison to believers, just that studies clearly point out a major difference in the sum of charity contributed by the religiously affiliated group and the unaffiliated. I acknowledge governmental participation in charitable works enables the category of non-religious groups that contribute to charity to slightly undercut or even outweigh the contributions of religious groups. But that should not be viewed as an issue because the resolution does not involve the major benefits of religion in comparison to other groups, but simply the benefits religion provides in general. I've only been presenting comparisons myself, just that my opponents understand the weight of the contributions that religious beliefs bestow upon society. All right, I'm finished.
Okay.
All right, do I just read right off the page?
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
I believe Carter is our first speaker. So,
All right. Do you guys have two contentions as well?
We do. Yes.
Let me move something real quick. Do we have to have our cameras on?
Yeah, if you're speaking.
Um, hold on. Oh. All right. Okay, are my opponents ready?
Yes.
Is my partner ready? Then I will begin. Both me and my partner stand in firm negation to, on balance, societies benefit from religious beliefs and practice. To begin with, my first contention of internalized hate for the LGBTQ. The use of religion can lead to being weaponized upon sexuality. Majority of the religions oppose same-sex relationships in an 8-5-2 majority, according to pewresearch.org. An example of religion being weaponized, I give Westboro Church, which is known for being highly homophobic and often calling gay people, and I quote, faggots. If someone was to try to learn about them on their website, they find that the name is godhatefags.org. In addition to this, if they were to go to their FAQ, they would be bombarded with biblical literature defending their point. A very recent case in which religion was also used for hate, Kim Davis, a former clerk in Kentucky, had refused to sign a marriage certificate for a same-sex couple, violating the couple's constitutional rights to marriage. She had claimed it was under God's authority, according to NPR.com. This is a blatant abuse of religion to be used against others. This type of hate crime does not lead to a successful, beneficial society. It strips individuals' humanity and self-love by deteriorating members of our society. We are furthering ourselves from the possibility of a progressive future. We are internalizing hate into these young children's minds and destroying our society one individual at a time. Moving on to my second contention, war. Ukraine's tangled political history with Russia has its counterpart in the religious landscape, with Ukraine's majority Orthodox Christian population divided between an independent-minded group based in Kiev and another loyal to its patriarch in Moscow. But while there have been appeals to religious nationalism in both Russia and Ukraine, religious loyalty does not mirror political fealty amid Ukraine's fight for survival. Even though Russian President Vladimir Putin justified his invasion of Ukraine in part as defense of the Moscow-oriented Orthodox Church. Leaders of both Ukraine Orthodox factions are fiercely denouncing the Russian invasion, as is Ukraine's significant Catholic minority. With prayer on our lips, with love for God, for Ukraine, for our neighbors, we fight against evil, and we will see victory, end quote. Vowed Metropolitan Epiphany, head of Kiev-based Orthodox Church of Ukraine. Quote, forget mutual quarrels and misunderstandings and unite with love for God and our motherland, quote, end quote, said Metropolitan Onufri, head of the Ukraine Orthodox Church, which is under the Orthodox Patriarch of Moscow, but has broad autonomy. Even though that seemingly united front is complicated, even that seemingly united front is complicated. A day after posting Onufri's message on Thursday, his church's website began publishing reports claiming its churches and people are being attacked, blaming one attack on the representative of a rival church. The division between Ukraine's Orthodox and bodies has reverberated worldwide in recent years as Orthodox churches have struggled with how and whether to take sides. Some U.S. Orthodox, I'm so sorry. Some U.S. Orthodox hope that they can put such conflicts aside and try to unite to end the war. That's time.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so it is now cross-X, I believe. All right, is everyone ready?
Yes, let me get my timer out, sorry.
All good. Jacob, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay,
Alrighty.
start us off with a question. In your second contention, when you're talking about war, is Putin's attack directly related to religion or in a response to NATO?
So our entire contention 2 talks about how it is, sorry, let me pull it up. So in our contention 2, we're merely saying that all this stuff with Ukraine going on is all related to religion, and that way it affects the entire universe. So we're just giving an example of how. Sorry, can you rephrase your question?
So your entire contention was about how this war with Ukraine is directly related to religion. Is it that, or is it that Putin is scared about what is happening with NATO and Ukraine's involvement with NATO?
It's merely just about how it all relates to religion, how all these lives being lost, such as the orphanage that was bombed by the Russians and all this stuff. It's all in a cause directly related to religion.
Okay. Want to your question now?
Alrighty. So in your contention 1, can you summarize your contention 1 for me in your own words?
Jacob, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I got that. Okay, so basically, for my first contention, I'm just saying that most people would argue against the fact that religion, it provides people with a list of moral values. So instead, what I'm saying, I'm declaring that religion helps you stay on the guideline of moral values.
All right, cool. So in your first contention, you talk about like internalized hate for LGBTQ. So currently, specifically, if we're talking about just looking at America, just for an example, our religion's not actually being more progressive in today's standards, and our church is not progressing and being more acceptive.
Yes, they are. However, that's a future thing. We're talking about currently and how society is benefiting on religion or not. We're not talking about how in the future they're being more progressive. Currently, it's still an 8-5-2 majority of hate.
Okay.
Right. And then going back to your guys' contention 1, you talked about those moral guidelines. It is stated in some of these moral guidelines that being gay is against those. So are you saying that it would be a good moral value not to be gay or to be against that or be LGBTQ community?
We're not saying that. What we're saying is that while non-religious folks don't have something to go off of for some sort of moral compass, it is more likely for those that are of religious belief to have more moral and more principled values. And we're not saying all of them are correct. We're saying in general, they have more beneficial moral values that they can look to other than the non-religious people. That is time. Are we all going to take prep time?
Who gets to take prep time? Like, I don't know.
All of this.
All of us.
So who's going to prep
So
time?
should we just take 1 minute 30 and then you guys take 1 minute 30?
Fair enough.
Okay, Jacob and I will start with prep time.
Okay.
Okay, starting. Okay, make sure you go to Discord starting now.
Alrighty.
That's a time.
We were
Okay.
taking running prep, but it's okay.
Okay.
Oh.
So, wait.
Yeah. All right.
Does that count towards our time or no?
Were you prepping during that?
I mean, yeah, we were talking.
Okay, then it's fine if we were both prepping, then it's fine. Okay. So this is starting with our speech, and that is 4 minutes. Is everyone ready? All right, cool. Wait, hold on. Let me really quickly make sure. Okay. Then I will begin. Okay, so beginning with their contention one, it talks about basically internalized hate for the LGBTQ and religions. And while yes, this can be prominent, as we are seeing with today, we are progressing further and further and exponentially currently today, with being more acceptive in LGBTQ community, and with all of the religions becoming more accepting, and we are continuing to progress within society. This is an internalized flaw itself, but we are continuing to fix it on an everyday occurrence. And so therefore their contention one must fall, simply for the fact that we are continuing to progress and continuing to further the moral compass to create a more accepting society. And we're even seeing, specifically in America, Christian churches being more acceptive of LGBTQ, and we see that in more religions on a day-to-day basis. So while they say that we are not benefiting from religious basis because we are preventing a progressive society, we are still benefiting on a day-to-day basis. And this is something that eventually will be completely moved out of religions in the future. And so we are benefiting from it because we are progressing. So their contention one falls. Moving on to their contention two, that basically talks about the war currently with Ukraine. Ukraine versus Russia, and they say that this has a direct response to religion. And while this is what Putin states, this is likely not the major influencer. It's most likely NATO, simply for the fact that Ukraine was trying to get involved with NATO, and therefore Putin was scared because that would be a direct country on the border to them, and they are feeling imposed upon, which Putin actually said this himself when he's put out statements about Ukraine. So while religion might have a very small instance in this, it is more towards political and more towards a broader spectrum of power than it is Christianity and what Ukraine, Catholicism, religion in itself. It's more about control and the political power that Putin and Russia feels that it does not have, because of NATO and how Ukraine was trying to join NATO. They felt if they didn't take over Ukraine in that instant, that they would lose any battle or fight because they wouldn't be able to actually attack Ukraine because of NATO. It is because they felt imposed upon, not because of their religious standing. For these reasons and many more, I urge the ballot on that side of the affirmation.
And then, sorry, getting my timer out. I can't address the text in the speech, correct?
I don't believe so. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this one's just the rebut, and then the next one is the defense and consolidation.
Okay, cool. Then, sorry, 1 second. All right, so if my opponents are ready, and then is my partner ready? Okay, then I will begin my time now. All right, just to start in going over my opponent's case, we'll start with their contention one. Their contention one talks about moral values and a moral compass that guidelines people. First, I would like to touch on that every person when they're born is internalized through them within schools and public systems a decent amount of morals, like killing people is wrong, stealing is wrong. This stuff is taught through schools, so it does, society as a whole does inflict on people and does apply some sort of moral compass into people. Religion just applies a more faithful view into this. And then also touching on, as I talked about in my cross-ex, LGBTQ, most religions, their moral guidelines go against being LGBTQ or being part of this community. It goes against the moral guidelines and they consider it a sin. So as these people talk about, you follow these social guidelines and it leads to better, this actually worsens people, especially if they do have these feelings. It adds to a lot of mental health issues, which is not good for the general public. And if you're having if you're having part of this general public feeling as they are wrong, something is wrong with them, that doesn't add to the benefit of the society, it worsens it. Therefore, by saying it would be a good moral value, a good moral compass to go against natural things such as that would be clearly immoral. Therefore, going against our contention one as a whole and not benefits society. And then going over my opponent's contention two, they talk about benevolence, volunteer work, and charity. As I'm not saying that charity or volunteer work is a bad thing, because we definitely need this to benefit society. To say that this would be more important than, say, the 11 million lives lost during the Holocaust would be completely immoral and wrong. The Holocaust, which was a direct result of religion, which resulted in the death of 11 million people, is extremely, extremely horrible. And to say that there is amount of charity work that could benefit this, these benefits clearly do not outweigh the cons that could happen in a direct result of religion. Not only did the Holocaust hurt 11 million people, kill 11 million people, not only did it benefit society, but it stunted society from benefiting and furthering progression, which goes directly against this resolution. So for these reasons and any more, and many more, I urge the judgment of the negation. Thank you.
All right, so we have 10 minutes remaining. So do we just want to do cross-ex and then cut to prep time in another Zoom? Yes, no?
Sorry, what? My brother came into my room.
Do we just want to do cross-ex and then cut to prep in another Zoom because we have 10 minutes left?
Sure.
Okay, so let's do prep, or not prep, cross-ex. Everyone ready?
Mm-hmm.
You guys can start with a question this time. Starting now.
Alrighty. So you talked about one in internalized hate and progressing and how we are still, your contention one, your attack on us talked about kind of like the internalized hate, but how we see that moral compass. How would you respond to it being against the LGBT community?
So basically, what I want to talk about with that is, yes, that is a thing in certain religions, but as I talked about in my attack on your first contention, we are continuing to see a progression in accepting LGBTQ, and all of these religious teachings are also continuously being pushed aside. And especially, let's say, again, Christianity in the First Testament, it almost outlaws what it says in the Old Testament about LGBTQ and the issues with that. So while with our first contention, it talks about it creates a moral compass for the individuals, it's actually, again, promoting this progressiveness and promoting more acceptance. And so it's not internalizing these LGBTQ and homophobia into their moral compass. All right. Jacob, do you have a question?
I guess could you just restate your arguments?
Sure. So I attacked your contention one by saying that these moral guidelines can be provided by society and by education systems that we have today in place. All society inflicts a kind of don't steal things, don't murder people. These type of moral kind of like guidelines or moral compasses, as you refer to in your case, are inflicted and imposed by society. Therefore, the need for religion to do that is no longer needed or not really there. And then also that I read again and say that attack that religion is highly against the LGBTQ community, and it is extremely important to consider that by calling these like moral values or moral compasses to go by, it's also saying that you should not be gay, going against humans' natural nature, which is immoral and inhumane. And then I attacked your contention too, saying that yes, as charity work is important, it's not worth the amount of 11 million lives that could be lost in situations such as the Holocaust, which yes, is an extreme situation, but still a situation that did happen and was possible.
All right. Can we ask one more question?
Sure.
All right. So in your second contention about the attack with the Holocaust, so while you say this is caused by religion, can any religious moral compass help prevent these things from in the future, specifically with being accepting and kind individuals like Hinduism, for example?
Sorry, what, can you restate your question?
Yeah, so basically it is just saying, while you say the Holocaust is directly caused by religion, is there any religious belief or practice that could actually counteract or stop this from happening, like very accepting and kind religions like Buddhism and Hinduism?
As I stated, society imposes these moral compass or moral values, ideas on children from a very young age, same things that, many similar things to religion, such as Hinduism. In kindergarten stuff, you learn to be kind to others, treat others how you would like to be treated. Those type of things were instilled to us when we were younger, and those type of terms, most children nowadays know those. So as there's no need for those religious moral compasses because those are imposed by society.
All right, so we have about 5 minutes remaining. So I'm gonna end the meeting and then start another one.